Welcome back to T-Cast, episode 17. I'm Adam. We've got Tyson. We've got Jenna. And tonight we have actually got a special guest in Mark. Welcome, Mark.
How you going?
Good. How you doing?
Oh, look, I'm living the dream.
Living the dream?
Yep.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, so we've got a special episode because here in Australia it's the Melbourne Cup Tuesday.
Yep.
So we thought we would bring in someone that's had experience in the horse racing because I've never ridden a horse in my life.
I've bet on the horse races. Never won anything.
I wouldn't even know how to put a bet on.
What's a horse? I think it's safe to
horse.
say that we don't really know much about horses, but Mark
The
over
experts over there.
Mark over here. I actually found out this week that you used to be a jockey.
Well, an amateur jockey and rode in a few races. Had the privilege of growing up with them and did show jumping and all that sort of thing, barrel racing, bending racing. Then one of my bucket lists was to ride in a actual race, and so I started riding race horses, did a lot of track work, a lot of horses every morning, and back in the day we used to, because we were in an area there was a lot of old race courses and a lot of clubs local clubs that raise money for different reasons, used to run a few pony race meetings with ponies and old race horses. But they don't do that anymore. So I rode in a few meetings there and rode 3 winners in one day I think it was up at Glen Lyon, where you used to have New Year's Day meetings, and then continued on riding track work. Then got my amateur jockey's licence and rode in a few races. And as I always say, the professional guys that go out day in, day out and riding races, well, you got to take your hat off to them, because it can be a very dangerous sport, and they're elite athletes, and for what they do, it's a lot of hard work. And as I just said, I certainly take my hat off to jockeys that ride in a race, and hope them all back safely each time they go in the race.
I know that I definitely couldn't do racehorse.
Is it true that you have to be a certain weight and height and all?
Yeah, in riding in amateur race meetings, the weights are a lot higher. And I remember one day I was riding a horse and it was something like 69 kilos, and I think I was carrying. I actually weighed about 3 kilos in the saddle. Made another couple of kilos, and I had to have a lead bag with the rest of the weight, making up to 69, which is about 14 odd, kilos.
So you had to equal the weight of the horse?
No, you had to equal what weight the horse had been given because of certain handicap reasons of that race. They handicap a horse on weight. So, I had to have lead in the saddle bag to take me up to the weight. So, because I was a lot lighter for amateur racing. Yeah.
They would be quite strategic about that too, wouldn't they, with the placement of the weights and that for weight distribution and.
Oh, you have saddle bags that go under the actual saddle, and the weights go on both sides evenly.
I will say though, I never realised, hearing that now, I've never actually realised how much behind the scenes goes on. I understood, there was certain things that they had to do, but all that extra stuff, you have to have the saddle bags that weigh a certain amount. That's really interesting. I've never really given it any thought. I just watch the race and don't realise.
So with the question, you said you've been around with a few professionals. What sort of training regime do they have to go by? I know they have to stay in fit shape, but what sort of goes into a regime for that?
Yeah, well, first thing, you got to be able to ride a horse, and
well, there goes my dream.
But they started in the amateurs. It's a different thing, which as I make very clear, I was riding in amateur meetings for a few races, but professional, you got to do an apprenticeship, and they'll take you from any apprenticeship from the start right through. They just don't throw you on a horse in a race and you go out. But it's pretty daunting. Like the first time, like when you're doing track work, you're out there with say maybe one or two horses doing track work, but when you actually get into a race and you're going into the barriers and you've got another 14 horses and you come out and if you're stuck in the middle of the field, it's surprising. It's like someone's throwing rocks at you because all the horses in front of you are throwing up from their hooves.
From behind, yeah.
And it's all coming up and it's hitting you like someone is actually throwing rocks, Be fine sand to
more
clumps
force
of...
than ever,
And again, a hat goes off to jockeys back, in the early days before they had goggles. There must have been a lot of problems with them getting eye injuries from, because you got 10, 12, 15 horses in front of you. So again, it is people just see a race run and someone sitting on the back of a horse. Well, it's a lot more than that. There's a lot of skill involved, and again, it's a credit to the guys that and the girls, because there's a lot of excellent lady jockeys out there. That there's probably I'm not giving you any actual numbers, but the amount of women jockeys is certainly increased, and as we saw.
Yeah, I believe a female jockey won the Melbourne Cup last year. Is that right? Or was that?
Yeah, I'm trying to
Michelle
quite a few.
Oh no,
years back.
don't know what I'm thinking about last.
Which was
year.
great to see.
Yeah, they made a movie about. Have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
I think it's called Ride Like a Girl. I watched it with Claudia a little while ago. It's actually quite good.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, no, it was a great movie.
They got her actual brother to be in the movie as well, to play. Yeah. Is it Stevie? Yeah, I couldn't remember his name.
Does that take you through what?
How she sort of started? I'd say how she started, and then how she built up her career to finally win the Melbourne Cup. I think it was her first Melbourne Cup too, wasn't it? I think it'd be definitely your kind of thing.
Yep. So what was it called again?
Ride Like a Girl.
Okay.
I watched it with Claudia. I really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely your kind of speed.
I'll have to watch it.
So, Mark, when did you first start riding in general?
Oh, when I was about 12, Oh, family members had horses, and, I picked it up pretty much from there and went through Pony Club, which was a lot of fun. And as I said, did show jumping and, all that. I had a great show jumper, and he was only 13.3, but, he certainly could out-jump a lot of 15 and 16 hand horses, so I had a bit of success with him. But, it was great growing up.
Was it ever something that you sort of wanted to seriously consider pursuing as in a professional career, or was it sort of more of a kind of a pastime kind of thing?
Oh, no, I did earn a living through my experience with horses, and from dealing with 3 stallions at stud and looking after them at certain times before life took me in other avenues. But I did make a living from my experience, and it's great that a hobby led me into at times when I was in between or doing other jobs, to being able to earn an income from a hobby because of my experience.
It wouldn't feel like a job then, would it? You're doing something that you love.
And I had all intentions getting into being a racehorse trainer, but again, things leading in other directions. Which
is that something that you'd sort of you'd be interested in following now?
Oh, it's probably getting to a stage, and it's a big industry, and but I would look forward or getting into having something to do with race horses, but that may come.
Yeah. Do you believe how you always? I find that I have a really good connection with dogs. Do you feel like you connect with horses?
Oh, you got to. They're a magnificent, beast, and you got to treat them with respect and love. And like any animal, they, take the kindness. And, they know they're a good judge of people. I used to have a horse that, for some reason, and it might have happened before we got him, he didn't like anyone that smelled of alcohol.
Yeah.
And he was the most placid thing, but if anyone came near him, so whether something,
smell.
yeah, but, and he ended up being a great horse, but you just kept him away from the grog.
Yeah. Him or?
He had a past of alcoholism. He didn't want to relive that.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
you don't know. Someone might have done, I'm not,
Yeah,
and
no,
you
yeah, of
can't
course.
assume or
No.
make predictions on what actually happened. But,
There-
again, though, it's like any, a dog or a cat or whatever it is.
Good judge
An
of
elephant,
character.
if a lot of animals are, like you said, great judge of character.
Horses especially, I feel like.
Yeah.
If you've got a good connection with a horse, like, would be like a really good bond to have, like, because they're such clever animals.
And respect, like
Yeah.
have that
mutual
dealt
respect.
with stallions, and they can be quite dangerous, and you've got to respect stallions or any horse that if for some reason they have a bit of a streak through them, that there's been quite a few that if you took your eye off them for 1 second, you were gone.
They can do a lot of damage if
Even with just a bite. I've been
Yeah.
bitten before. It's not fun.
by a horse.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
On my leg.
Ow.
So you use whips when you ride them. I heard a story where a jockey used to just whip the air instead of actually whipping the horse.
It's the thing on your
cracking-
feet,
it's
isn't
the
it?
crack in
It's
the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't, personally, but there are rules. I believe that, you're only allowed to hit a horse a certain amount of times in a certain amount of space or distance, but I'm not sure what that is now. But I wasn't one that was big on using, I think, you try and get out of a horse without, but sometimes, just the small, in a lot of cases, the sound way that whips are set up. But, again, I wasn't over big at the use of it.
Yeah.
Try to get what you can out of a horse without it.
Don't want to overwork
But,
it, kind of thing.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of controversy around all that side of things, and
Yeah, there's a lot of like anti-horse racing stuff that happens, especially around the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, well, we won't go into
no,
that.
yeah.
No, and that's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but yeah, like
I think you have to have respect both sides because
yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, it's just something that people need to, like as you said, like have to have that respect for both sides, and
Yeah. I think they are treated very, very well.
yeah, exactly. Like then I wouldn't say that any of the horses are mistreated or anything like that. And
Yeah. So, Dad, you've also done some race call. Did I just call you Dad? Sorry.
Yeah, it was a thing that started a long, long time ago. Someone that owned a hotel that I knew and went through Pony Club with rang me up and said, because I used to every now and again do a phantom race call, and that led to getting called to do a pre-Melbourne Cup the night before Calcutta, and we used to go in there and used to get quite a big crowd at the hotel, and we'd auction off horses, but around Australia in the next few days, and especially the night before the big cup, there'll be a lot of places that will have Calcuttas and race calls, and I actually did one recently in New Zealand, but a bit of fun, raise money for charity, so yeah, it's good, and I get a bit of enjoyment out, a bit of humour,
sure.
and I have a race to call just to kick off the night. So if you want, I can jump into that,
hold on,
and
let me get comfortable.
we'll get ready for the
Now-
big Phantom race call.
Who's
So,
the favourites?
Do we want to put some bets on?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the races. We're heading for the 5th race, and the starters are coming into the mounting yard. We'll just go through the field as the riders come out of the rooms to mount up, and we've got number 1, which is I've Got Gastro. Look,
I'm leaving.
he's been played up a little bit in his last few starts, but if he puts his mind to it, he'll certainly be in the finish. Number 2 is a horse called Yeehaw! And Yeehaw run a couple of good races in its last couple of starts at One Up the Bush, can sprint. Number 3 is Don't Drink and Drive. Good message there. So if you're thinking of having a few, well, back this horse. Number 4 is I'm Hungry. I'm Hungry, which, he's coming off a 360-day spell, so this is his first run since then. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs. Number 5 is Pizza, Pasta and Fettuccine. We think the owner of this horse might own a pizza shop. Now, number 6 is Meat Pie and Red Horse. We'd say the Red Horse means the sauce. Again, ran its last 3 starts. Might have mooted the run, but could sprint home here today because it has won a couple of handy races. Number 7, Fell Out the Door, Hotel Door. Well, that tells it all, doesn't it? But he's bred by, a good mare, and should do well in the race here today. Number 8 is Give Me a Beer, and we'll go back to number 3, Don't Drink and Drive. Number 9 is Banana Boat. Handy's won its last 2 starts. We're expecting a lot from Banana Boat. And number 10, just about ready to go out onto the track proper here, and it's a jump to the left and a shake to the right. And number 11 is Not Happy Jan. Well, I'd say I'm looking at the owners on this, and there is a Jan that's one of the owners of this, so Jan might be happy. If Not Happy Jan gets up and wins this today. Number 12 is The Sound of Silence. Well, The Sound of Silence, bit of a dark horse. Look, we just don't know how it'll run here today, but they're on their way to the barriers for the running of the Flying Handicap, run over 6 furlongs. Now, starters starting to call them in. I've got Gastro's playing up, and the attendants are giving him a bit of work to get him into the barriers. Yeehaw goes straight in, and Don't Drink and Drive. I'm Hungry goes in well, and the pizza parlour owner will be happy because Pizza, Pasta and Fettuccine goes in well. Give Me a Beer. Yep, Give Me a Beer's gone in. A little bit of activity down. I'm just looking over into the members' enclosure, and a bit of activity going on there. There's a bloke walking across with a big bucket of chips. It's the best bucket of chips I've ever seen. And guess what? He's fallen over and he's been attacked by 500 seagulls. He's right. He's all good. I can see a hand coming up amongst the flock there, and he's got 1 chip left. Plenty goes on here at the races. Seagulls will come in, they have a bit of a feed and snack on the leftover chips. Now, Not Happy Jan goes in well with the Sound of Silence. He's still got problems there with I've Got Gastro. They've got about 3 attendants there trying to settle him down, but the rest of them are in, and they're all set for the Flying Handicap, the Bush Flying Handicap. Could be anywhere in Australia. They're all set. Starter goes to the platform. They're off, racing, and yeehaw! Comes out first with I've Got Gastro and Don't Drink and Drive, and I'm Hungry. Give us an order of a pizza, pasta and a fettuccine. on the outside, fell out the hotel door, missed the start, and here's Give Me a Beer and Banana Boat. It's a jump to the left, then Not Happy Jan, and dropping out to last is The Sound of Silence. All right, got Gastro. He's not happy today. He's dropped out to the tail end of the field. As they go past the 1,000-metre mark and the race is on. And Don't Drink and Drive. Don't Drink and Drive takes up the running from Yeehaw. Yeehaw on the outside, and I'm hungry. Give me a pizza, pasta and fettuccine. And he fell out the door of the hotel. He's coming up on the outside with Give Me a Beer. I'll need a beer after I finish calling this race. Banana Boat. Margarita. And it's a jump to the left and a step to the right. Put your hands on your head. It's the pelvic. Yep, getting a bit carried away there. And then on the outside, I'm Not Happy Jan. And still last is The Sound of Silence. I've got Gastro. Look, sorry, he's still at the tail end, but he's starting to come around the outside. I missed him there, but on the outside of The Sound of Silence. As they run up past the 600-metre mark and the pace is on. And going to the front now is I'm Hungry. I'll have a look down the outside, and he's running like he needs a public convenience. He wants to be first home. It's I've got Gastro. He's come right around the outside and he's gone to the front. I've got Gastro, and he's bolted. He's about 2 or 3 lengths and says, catch me if you can. I've got Gastro, and on the outside of Don't Drink and Drive is Yeehaw! 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 Starting to make a bit of pace, and I'm hungry. And I'll have a pizza, pasta and fettuccine. And making a run there is Meat Pie, and I fell out the hotel door. He's starting to wobble a little bit, and Give Me a Beer. Give me a beer, give me 1 beer, give me 2 beer. He's putting on the pace as they come to around the turn. And, look, I've got Gastro. They've got to catch him. He's racing like he wants to go home. I've got Gastro. Down the outside, Don't Drink Again. Don't Drink and Drive. And also pizza, pasta and fettuccine. He's starting to run home. Give me a beer. Give me 1 beer. Give me 2 beers. And Banana Boat is starting also to run. There's a wall of horses there. It's a jump to the left. And a step to the right. Put your hands on your hip. It's the pelvic. Let's get carried away here. And Not Happy Jan. Not Happy Jan starting to run home. And The Sound of Silence. They're right across the track. They're going stride for stride. I've got Gastro! Takes out the race. I've got Gastro from Don't Drink and Drive. I'm hungry. I'll have a pizza. I'll have a margarita. And followed by Give Me a Beer. Banana Boat. It's a jump to the left. And a step to the right. Put your hands on your hips. It's the pelvic thrust. It's not a music competition, it's a race here, the flying handicap, and the winner goes to I've Got Gastro. What a race it was, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you. We'll give you the official numbers shortly, and have a good day.
You had me thinking there were horses over there. That was good. And I will say your voice shook the room that it knocked the floor.
Off the back of that, is there any funny horse names that you've just can't just not look at and not laugh? Like besides those ones, like ones that you've actually seen.
Some have come to your mind there because you had a bit of a chuckle.
I'm kind of concerned if he does get into race horses now because he's definitely not naming them.
Well, you want something that stands out.
Yeah, well, I've got Gastro.
You have me thinking I'm going to get sick. Now, did you come up with these names?
Yeah, just off the top of my head.
Here I was thinking that they were actual horse names.
No.
Oh.
So you had a script already planned out in your head when you wrote this?
No.
So you come up with that on a whim?
Yeah, just off the top of my head.
Wow.
I don't
Speaking
know
of dead air, I'm speechless.
I don't know if I should be proud or worried.
Well, I've got gastro.
If you try when you're doing a phantom race call, if you try and you'll go through, how you think you'll do it, but it turns out totally different. When I did one in New Zealand, it went for 37 minutes. The race.
Oh my God.
Because I had a number of.
Did you have a voice in the next
I was going to say, did you pass out at the end?
Because I feel like I've lost my voice listening to you.
So, how do you get into phantom racing, like phantom calls?
How did I? As I said, that I got invited one, and that continued for a number of years, and then people started inviting me around to their barbecues on Melbourne Cup Day, and we'd call the race Phantom, and I used to do that every year on Melbourne Cup Day.
Doing it this year?
Yeah, I did it one year, and they had a festival on down there, and on Melbourne Cup Day, and they asked me to do a Phantom race call down there, but that was actually of the horses that were in the Melbourne Cup, and that was difficult because there was about 500 or 600 people there. So
Imagine doing it on live TV.
Did you actually get it right, the horse that won the Melbourne Cup, or was you a bit wrong with your call?
I think I backed the winner that year, but I don't know whether I called it in the Phantom race. Yeah.
Did you ever...
Squeaky poo.
She heard talking about animals, and she's like, hold on, let's talk about cats for a minute. Do you ever get, this is probably a really dumb question, but, do you ever get stage fright? Or you just don't really care how people are going to react to what you do?
No, it's a lot easier if you're in a room and people have been drinking lemonade.
Red cordial.
The more lemonade, the better. So it's having a crowd behind you. And one of the things we use is, as they're coming around the straight...
Lemonade sales go off the roof.
As they're coming around the straight and the crowd roars, so you get everyone in the room to roar.
Yeah.
And,
engage.
Is that a really good feeling when the crowd gets so involved when you're doing that? Or
He stands there and goes like this.
He has a guard of honour following. Sorry, it's cool.
Security.
Yeah. So in a room of sober people, it doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I will say
So that's why I asked you to drink 6 beers before we started this.
Yeah.
That's right.
You knocked him back
This is
like
a
that.
non-alcoholic podcast. When I got invited to a podcast, I thought, it's one of those pods that you put on top of the car.
The pod car.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Where you store your stuff in. So, anyway. Well,
Now I'm hungry, I want pods. I will say, that was really, really impressive.
Yeah. I don't know. Kind of like if you closed your eyes, you
Felt like I was there. I was when you got. The
I just can't take him
up,
serious because of his sunglasses. I nearly cracked up laughing before you'll be able to see when I started smiling. I think I pulled it back.
You had when you got the binoculars, you had me looking, thinking there was a horse race happening behind Jenna over there.
Can I have a go?
So,
Have these actually been used for a race call? Ooh.
So what do you just do? Country races when you do
I
race
did
calls?
actually call a couple of races at one of the, many moons ago when the pony racing, that was, back in the 70s. Yeah.
Why is it so blurry? Am I just dumb?
Do you feel like there's been a sort of a cutback on the horse racing industry in the last probably few, since turn of the century? You reckon it's been cut back a bit? You don't see many pony clubs and horse racing events. It's sort of been.
Oh, look, it's still, it's a popular sport and always, continue to be. But what you've got to realise that, they still get the crowds, especially for the big races. But back, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, you got to remember we didn't have all these stupid things.
Yeah.
And there was no TVs, and every second or third town had its own race course. If you go just between Bacchus Marsh and Ballarat, there used to be a race course at Bacchus Marsh. There was a race course at one stage at Murniong, Balan, Gordon, race course at Wallace, Bungaree, which closed in the mid-1960s. There was Lowell race course, Quingy Bora used to have a race course, Stiglitz had a race course, Meredith had a race course, Mount Edgerton had a race course, Millbrook had a race course after the race course at Gordon closed down when they put the railway line through. Apparently it went through the Gordon track, I believe, and so they had to move, and then they built another race course at Millbrook.
Yeah.
And the reasons, because that was their entertainment, was their get-together, and it was, it was a big sport, and that's our roots of where racing has started from. But it's amazing, and one for the people, if you're ever on the road, the Sunraysia Highway, Redbank used to have a race course, and they bypassed the town. Now, off to the right, there is a road called Racecourse Road. Now, if you drive down there, and I think it's used for recreation or whatever, but if you drive down there, and there's an old race course there
Stop
that
scrunching your
was
paper.
starting in the 1800s, I believe, and I think it closed around the 1960s. Now, if you pull the car up and you get out there and walk onto where the race course is, and I'm not giving you permission to do that, but it's like walking back in time. It's like they stopped racing. A lot of these courses were closed because they amalgamated the courses for safety reasons for jockeys, because there was just too many tracks around, and a lot of them needed upgrading for different reasons to make racing a lot safer for the horses and for the riders. But as I said, Red Bank is like walking back in time.
Back when I was little, Dad used to take us for drives, and we would come across places,
and find old race courses.
And it was so, some places were super eerie and
haunted.
I don't know, but you could still see the fencing, where the track was. It's really interesting.
It's a core memory.
Yeah.
And it's our history, and that should be preserved. You don't want to see that because the running rails are still there. And one thing that's worth seeing there is because they didn't have photo finishes, and there was a box right on the finish line, opposite the finish line, and where the judge used to sit, and he had a piece of wire ran from the front of the roof down to where he stood behind it to line up to get the best he could of horses going past, which horse nose went first. So he had to not be snoozing or or anything, and the horses went past. But it was there last time I saw it, but it still had all the old infrastructure there, and it's just it's just eerie. But there's a lot of history. There's a lot of good stories behind a lot of these racetracks. Country racing is, there's a lot of interesting tracks around. It's great for the towns. It supports industry, and well, hopefully it'll keep doing what it's doing.
Yeah.
What's the best track you've raced on? Best feeling track for you personally?
Well, most interesting was when I rode in amateur race meeting at Dedarang. I don't think it's New Year's Day. I think it's in January sometime, and they only have, I believe, whether they still have one meeting a year, but there was a massive crowd there. And an interesting thing was when I was riding there, that we were all in the jockey's room, and they had a lot of entertainment going on that day, and on the course, because there was a lot of people there. It was a fun day, great weather, and they had some, for a bit of a show, lady wrestlers were going to wrestle in the mounting yard. And they didn't have a room for the lady wrestlers to get changed. So they came into the jockey's room and said, "Oh, look, you guys we'll have to vacate, which we did to give them their privacy, but there was a few cheeky jockeys in
You
there
wouldn't want to
that-
say no if they're wrestlers.
Well, a couple of them did. And it was funny, the lady wrestlers picked them up and threw them out the door.
As they should have.
So it was a bit of a funny story, but...
Yeah.
yeah.
Tyson, do you have any fun facts with Tyson this week?
I do actually.
Oh,
I
my
do.
goodness.
So
This is one of our ongoing segments. Fun facts with Tyson.
So yeah, I was just googling this beforehand. I don't know much about horse racing, so it was popped up and it said all thoroughbred horses can be tracked back to 3 stallions. The bloodline of all modern horse racing goes back to Dali Abrin, I don't know, the God Dolphin Arab, and the Berlin Turk. These Albanian horses were important to Britain in the late 17th century and early 18th century by wealthy men, and were bred to be faster and that sort of thing.
Man, you're a goddamn genius.
And there's another one, like, because apparently in Britain it's the second favourite sport behind soccer over there.
Yeah.
So,
Soccer's Tyson's favourite.
yeah. So I
The
thought,
world sport.
yeah. So like, I knew horse racing was pretty big, but I didn't know it was that big. Like, because I only get around horse racing once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do Ballarat Cup at all?
Nah,
Yeah.
I don't do.
No.
I've actually only been once,
Don't do.
No,
it.
I've been
and
to...
I was underage.
I don't do like any of the cups. I don't.
Yeah. I like obviously have been like watched the Melbourne Cup with Dad and stuff, but did I just say Dad again?
You've said it about 4 times now.
Have you ever been to the Melbourne Cup personally and watched it?
No, I haven't actually been. I go to a lot more country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bar and Beat.
Oh, I've got it.
I remember growing
Warrnambool's
up-
a big meeting, but Avoca, I went to Avoca the other week. Relations had a horse running. So.
Is that a good track up there, Avoca? Because I hear a lot of people go there.
Great track, yeah. It's a credit to them, the facilities that they've got. Yeah.
I remember growing up, we used to go to the bar and beat races every year.
It's like a tradition.
Yeah. We haven't done that in a little while, but I remember,
Only
like, we
'cause
used
you
to...
got
I got barred.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I was always under 18.
barred. No, you were only 5 and you got barred.
Yeah, well...
Running
You're
around
probably
biting the
trying to
horse's
perv in the
ankles.
women's wrestling ring.
Yeah, they threw me out the door. Yeah, but that was always, like, a really good day out,
Yeah.
going to the races.
It's
And
so much different now, isn't it? There's like back then you just sat in the back of the car and watched the horses run, but now they have like family activities and
yeah,
petting zoos.
I do remember one year we went, I think I brought my friend with me to, like, sort of hang out with when we went up there. And they had a petting zoo, I don't remember what it was called. But I don't know why, but we put it on ourselves for the day. If animals got out, we would go and catch them and take them back. Like, not even kidding. And then
Well, you were chasing me up the track.
yeah, we caught chickens and all, like, different animals, and goats got out, I think, as well.
That wasn't
and then,
a chicken, it was an emu.
You were chasing the horses. Got to get back into the petting zoo.
And then it actually ended up, like, they came to us before they left, and they were like, hey, we're actually going to be doing, like, we're going to be a part of this parade in, like, the main street in town. Do you guys want to, like, be a part of it and hold an animal walking down in the parade? I was like, yeah, sure. So I have walked down Sturt Street holding a goat at one point.
You calling me a
Because of
goat?
the bar and beat races.
Yeah, honestly, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And the goat
Just magic.
pissed all over me.
Dad.
But yeah, I just thought that was something fun that come out of
Yeah.
the bar and beat race, and that's always been a core memory. Like, I haven't even thought about it until, but like, it's so clear in my mind that happened.
Yeah.
Like, I reckon if you ask the person who I went, like, came with me, he'd be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe, like, you remember that,"
Yeah.
kind of thing. It was
I'd just probably like to highlight too, like, gamble responsibly.
Speaking about gambling, got any tips for Tuesday?
A horse will win, and it'll win well.
Yep.
But
Are you much into the betting side of horse racing, or you just enjoy just watching it?
just watching it. Yeah,
you know, I enjoy having a bit of a
bit of a punt.
hunt. Yeah, but you know, got to be responsible.
It's probably like one of my core memories sleeping over at Bill and Nana's was the radio in their little breakfast eating room. was always blasting the horse races on.
Yeah.
Bill with his paper and his pen. Yeah. So it's been in the family. A love for
Horse
Horse
racing.
racing.
Long time.
probably should really like get an interest in it so I can pass it down.
No, I can't say I've ever been on a horse. And I don't know if I'd be game enough to. Because I've heard...
I wouldn't want you to get on a horse now.
No. Not with my back problems.
Okay.
I'd probably fall off and hurt my back. And because I've heard stories, like some pretty severe stories about people falling off and like getting quite hurt falling
With
off
any
a horse.
sport, it's a risk, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what yeah.
I was fortunate. I only once had a horse that at the full gallop tripped and threw me onto the ground and come down on top of me. But fortunately, we both got up, looked at each other and shook each other and, you know.
You're right, mate.
That was a lucky result. But, yeah, look, those things can happen. So, and there's a lot of great trainers. I was one trainer that I used to ride for that wouldn't put you on anything that he wouldn't get on. And I think, riding 5 or 6 horses a morning and only getting thrown off once and never happened again was pretty good odds.
I guess, with that stuff, you have to have that skill of being able to read a horse.
And that comes down to the relationship you put with them as well.
Within their movements and stuff, if they're going to start carrying on, you've got to get off. Just don't push the horse too.
So, speaking about that, is there like a horse, like one jockey's always rides this one horse, or is it just random?
Oh, hopefully, with owners and trainers, they, if a jockey's putting in the work, they'll usually stick to them, or, for different reasons, people, like anything, fall out or don't think the ride was what they expected. But sometimes it's easier for someone that's sitting in the grandstand to be saying what should have happened or could have happened, or you get out there and you're actually riding in a race where anything can happen. Well, again, it can be not fair to a rider that's put in a lot of work, but that's business. And
I will say you definitely have a voice for radio. I would listen to you read me an audiobook. I would pay for that. No, but anyway.
Now I'm feeling a bit hoarse now.
I would be too after that that phantom rate. Jenny, you aren't a horse. Move on.
One day.
You probably would have been one of those horse girls growing up. Running around the schoolyard.
I remember one year I begged Dad every single day, I reckon, to get me a horse. I was like, look after it. And then Christmas come, I got this envelope, Dad, and I was like, open it, and then I seen horse. And I was like, oh my God, he's bought me a horse, but it was a gift voucher to get a horse riding.
Well, technically, you still got your horse.
That's a cool memory too. Yeah, I did.
No, anyway, thanks for
A
coming.
riding school horse, where you go for a ride out, there's about 20 people get on horses and go for a ride.
I remember it, so it was a good gift.
And they cunning, those riding school horses. I got some grumpy old thing that wanted to
Your horse
squeeze
bit
me.
my leg.
Maybe it wasn't that good of a memory.
But, and the problem is that they're getting all these people, and they get a little bit cunning, which they would, and, know they're getting inexperienced people jumping on board. Well, this old timer, they soon discovered someone had got on his back that had ridden a few horses before, but, they get a bit cunning.
Yeah. It was fun.
Sure.
Good fun, though.
Well, thanks for coming on. I always find it so fascinating to hear someone talk about something that they're so passionate about, and it's so obvious, in your. I can't take it seriously.
No. Can you ever?
No, well, I'm actually surprised we've had a 45-minute conversation that was
purely
serious
just
stuff.
on horses and not aliens.
Yeah, no aliens, no none of that.
Well, has anyone here been abducted by aliens?
Damn it.
Next time.
All right, and that's it for episode 17. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you,
and
Mark.
We will.
Just quickly, sorry, I'll
Cole, by the way,
Oh,
Coles
yeah,
is here.
sorry.
Yeah.
Coles is here.
Hi guys, I'm in here now. Yeah,
G'day, where'd you come from? You
I've
got a
just
ticket?
been. I'm everywhere and
Listen,
nowhere
can
at
I
the same
see
time.
your
so-
ID, please?
No, that's elsewhere. Yeah.
You let anyone in here, don't you?
I don't even know him.
I saw this guy hitchhiking along the road when I was on my way over here before.
You're joking. Lucky you didn't pick him up. I still found his way here, but
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. One thing I was thinking about when you guys were talking about like the racing aspect and things like that. Is there like any precautions that the horses have to go through, or like specific training before going on a race? Something as big as like a Melbourne Cup sort of thing. What happens?
Look, with horses from the time that they're born and as foals, having interaction with humans, and it starts from there. Good handling practices, making the horse feel safe, and it all starts from pretty much the time that they're foaled. But again, they've got to enjoy their time with their mum, and but start to get humans to handle them, and kindness right through. Education of a horse is very important. The horse has got to build up its trust. We call it education. It used to be called breaking in. It was a bad word. You don't want to break a horse in. You want to educate it. So getting him to trust you, and again, but you can go in all the right directions, but you will still come across horses that can, for one reason or another, be a bit of a handful. Doesn't mean they're not going to be good race horses, but you got your job ahead of you when handling it. But even they'll succumb to being treated properly and right and with respect.
How do you feel about horses that are in like reality TV shows? Like I don't know if you know the show McLeod's Daughters. That's all about like girls on a farm. Like it's an Australian TV show, and they have so many horses that they have to train and use because they're part of the storyline and things like that. Sort of, I guess, reality TV in terms of that sort of thing with horse training and things like that. How do you feel about that sort of perspective?
Sorry, I'm not sure on
I
you.
think I can answer that. I think
Yeah,
they're
go for
more
it.
than capable of it. Like they enjoy that challenge, don't they? Horses are built for that.
Again,
they're very smart.
As long as, what they're asked to do is within their limits.
Yeah.
And, horses enjoy the companionship of humans, but it's all only enjoyable if they're treated with respect.
yeah, of course.
Did you ever watch The Saddle Club?
No.
Did you, Jenna?
Yes, girl.
Well, on that, do you know or remember the character Lisa? The actress, she's one of the announcers at the radio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, legit.
Can
Yeah.
you get her autograph?
I can organise a meet and greet if you want, yeah.
One of the Hemsworths was on the Saddle Club,
me.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to have that song stuck in my head now all day.
All right, well, that's a good note to end on.
Can we, life is easy if you wear... Just joking.
All right, now Mark's turn. All right, well, anyway,
I'm all horsed out.
you're all... yeah, I'm also feeling pretty hoarse. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for coming on, Mark.
All right, we will see you all next week.
Dad, you have to do it.
Nah. He's got too much self-respect for himself.